The wrap of the year continues. Let's have a look at the value of your farm. Peter Newbold, GM of PGG Rights and Real Estate's up to the batter's box. And Peter, I want to start today with where we finished the show yesterday. We're hearing anecdotal talk, and that is all it is, of a farm, a sheep and beef farm in the Hawke's Bay selling for $22,500 per hectare for trees. Tell me that isn't so.
No, look, Jamie, if I'm honest, I know of one property that was north of 20. So, you're probably correct on that one. I'm not aware of that one itself, but that's the exception. And as I've said before, the majority are sort of somewhere between that 13 and 15,000. So, yeah, they're one-offs, and in some ways it's hard to get your head around it, to be brutally honest.
Are any good extensive sheep and beef properties being sold to sheep and beef farmers anymore?
Yeah, there's a few, but if you look at the ones, the key ones that have been sold recently, the majority have gone to trees, which is interesting. But in saying that, we've sold a few that have actually gone and continued on to be sheep and beef blocks, which is really good, because I think we've reached a point now where I think we need to slow down on that tree piece. Absolutely
agree with you. What activity are we going to see in the market into the new year? And I'm looking at a environment with higher interest rates, for instance. I would imagine that, like the residential market, surely the rural market must cool its heels.
Yeah, it's been interesting. We've had a couple of good months recently, and it's just sort of slowed a bit as we've moved into December. But we're sort of thinking in the new year that it will still be strong. Interestingly, we've got probably more than we've had in previous years listings coming onto the market in that sort of early autumn period. I think, though, one thing we'll see a stabilising of the prices. And I think that's due to what you mentioned before, interest rates, costs on farm, etc. So I think we'll still see transactions, but I think as far as the values go, they're going to stabilise. And I think in some cases, depending on on your location, you might see a little bit of downward pressure there.
That may not be a bad thing.
No, well, I think, there's a point, there's always a sweet point, and I think if you look at where values have been, and now you look at interest rates coming in, cost to run a farm, all those pieces, then there needs to be an adjustment. So it makes good sense.
What about the lifestyle market? That ran hot post-pandemic, or in the early stages of post-pandemic. Everyone wanted out of town. Everyone wanted their wee green space in the country. Now there's a market that's changing a bit.
Yeah, look, and that has really slowed, to be brutally honest. It will come back, but I think we're in a position at the moment where both parties, vendors and purchasers, are trying to find that price point, and I think that's still going on. We think probably in the new year that'll start to, unwind and be in a place where it's sort of bottomed out. But again, the interesting thing there, each region is different. So, you can't say, look, what's happening in the Waikato is the same that's happening in the lower North Island. And likewise, in some of those regions, depending on the property, of course, you might have might have dropped 5%, and in some other spaces it might have dropped 15%. So, often you hear out there, 15, 20%, all that. They're just big numbers. I think you've got to be more specific. So we are seeing change.
Just finish on the horticulture sector, if you want. The halcyon days, and I know that was only one example, I think, $2 million per canopy hectare for a kiwi fruit farm. Has that ship sailed?
I don't think it's sailed, but definitely there hasn't been a lot of activity, and definitely there's some value has come back out of that. And what we're going to see is probably somewhere around about March, when they suddenly get a bit of an idea of what the crop's looking like, is then we'll start to see some activity. And I think then that's where you'll see where the values are going to sit. Are they going to be at $2 million per canopy hectare? Maybe not, but I don't think we'll know that until we sort of get in, closer to March, April time.
Peter Newbold, thank you very much for your contribution throughout the year. This slot is keenly listened to. I guess it's like, how much is your house worth? People are always interested to know how much their farm is worth. You have a good break, my friend. We'll catch you back next year.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie, and say hi to all your team and have a great Christmas yourself, and we'll speak in the new year. Thanks very much.